Welcome aboard Free Dive with C Point Digital, your go-to podcast for deep dives into the world of digital marketing. I'm Christy.
And I'm Anna Lynn.
Your hosts navigating through the currents of growth, strategy, and innovation in the digital realm.
We're going to talk. We're going to laugh. It's going to be a good time.
Let's dive in. Welcome back. We're here to the Free Dive podcast, and it's me and Anna Lynn.
Hi.
We're barely doing it, but we're doing it.
Up and not crying.
Okay, up and not crying. And you know how many people have sent that to me, like, over the last couple of weeks, being like,
Yep.
I think you could really relate to this. And I'm like, clearly I'm doing really good if this many people think that I would find this relatable. So
yeah, that's like our new motto. How are you today? Up and not crying.
But most of the time I'm just
Good.
up and crying.
It feels like that lately. Yeah.
Or on the floor and not crying. So it's one or the other. But to get to be both is a good day. So up and not crying it is. So today on that topic, today we're going to talk about something that kind of got brought up this week organically because struggling to find content, and we're just going to get really real in conversation today. So everyone strap in, get your tea.
Yeah, it's not a giggly morning though. We may end up laughing. I'm sure we do because
it's us.
Laugh at sad things all the time because we want to be up and not crying. Yeah. But yeah, a little bit
crying. So
yeah. But a little bit of a more serious talk today because we both have had like really difficult situations happening outside of our work life. So figuring out how to keep your work life going when your personal life is in flames, I think is such a good topic because nobody really talks about it. Mm-hmm. And you just kind of, there's just this mentality, I think, that you just, put on your big girl pants and keep going and you just push through stuff. And, but when you're in a creative role, I think it can be more difficult just to keep work going as usual when you're facing really difficult situations in your personal life, because creative roles, like anytime that you're creating something, it takes something out of you. It's a little piece of you goes along with it, whether you're writing or you're creating a video or you're doing any media. Like, it's not just sitting at a desk crunching numbers or, it's taking something out of you.
Where no one sees you.
Right. Yeah. And it's when you feel like you're tapped out in every possible way because of stuff happening in your personal life, like it can sometimes feel like the well is empty. Like I can't draw anything out of myself to give to my work life right now. But I have this deadline. Like we still have clients, we still have projects. Like, how do you keep going when you feel like you have nothing to draw from? Like, I think it's such a good topic. And we have some good tips and tricks because we're living it. We've been living it for a while. But also in the present, like we both have been dealing with stuff. I lost my mom to cancer a year ago. And I really, at that time, did not feel like I could do anything. There was nothing creative about my mindset at that point. And some of the things we're going to talk about today, like really helped me get back to that creative space. And right now, like I've been dealing with chronic illness, and my daughter has been dealing with some stuff, and it kind of has been like a perfect storm of
Yeah.
all these things happening at the same time. And it's been challenging. And you've had stuff, really heavy stuff happening too.
Yeah, this kind of all started because earlier on in this week, um I mean, I've been coming in every day like late and crying, and like I don't know how to function as a human, never mind do my job. And so much of my job is being on camera and very on and charming and let's make a funny TikTok and be on social media and be on camera. And when you feel like you're dying, doing any of those things, not it's not it. And coming up with content is like a whole other thing. And so I was sitting on the couch with Deb, literally crying, being like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to come up with, I don't. So part of what I'm dealing with right now is my dad is dying of cancer. And so I don't know how to switch gears between going from, I'm taking care of him basically full time and myself full time. And I'm also chronically ill. And I don't know how to switch between going from cancer care, thinking about death, to coming into the office and, okay, let's talk about marketing on the podcast today. Let's talk about SEO. Like, what are the
Do a
best
silly
tips and tricks
TikTok.
for getting your website seen? Like, I don't care. Like,
Right.
that's just the truth.
Right.
Like, how do you, but at the same time, it's like the show must go on. Like,
Right.
your life does not stop for you. It just doesn't. That's the
And
truth.
that's one of the hardest things, I think. People tell you that, but until you experience that, like when my mom passed away, feeling like, can everything just stop for a minute so I
Yes.
can process what just happened and
Mhm.
and figure this out and just take a minute and sit with everything. And it's like, no, no, everything else just keeps going at the same speed. The world keeps spinning and it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem fair. It seems like at that moment you should be able to make everything stop because it's such a huge life altering moment. And
Yeah.
so you feel like there should be some recognition in the outside world that this just happened,
Yeah.
like how can everything just keep going on as normal? Um, so it's
It
really
does.
hard to reconcile that and to wrap your brain around it while you're trying to deal with that. And so finding your way back to, okay, everything's still going. I need to keep going. It's
Yeah.
good in a way because it keeps you from sinking into a bad place. So it can be good that everything keeps going.
Yeah.
But making that conscious decision to find your way back to that creative space and back to your routine and figuring out how to um, connect back to that, I think is tricky. But we have some good tips. And one of the first things I think that
I'm going to crack open a Celsius, and I didn't want to interrupt you to do that. So I know how
that
much
is
you
not going
love
to
that.
help you, but
I really should be an
I'll
influencer.
yell at you for drinking that later.
No.
But
Again, coping tip number one: find a vice
not
that your friends hate.
recommended.
Find a vice that your friends hate. In this case, Peach Vibe Celsius. Celsius should really sponsor me. Please let me be
Oh
an influencer.
no, no,
Oh,
no.
and while we're on it, because you asked me about this sweatshirt, I would love for this brand to also
Yes.
sponsor me. Okay. Because I was like, I'm wearing this for the podcast today. I ordered this. Okay, why I chose number one, why I chose the hottest point in summer to order a full sweatsuit. Again, I'm in buy away the pain mode. And
Oh
so
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
whoa, a very expensive sweatsuit on TikTok, purchase. They have the buy now option. And so I love that I've also picked the color where all of my makeup's just going to get all over the collar,
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
Anyway, I have,
You're
I
making
want
good choices today.
everyone should know. So it's the Comfort brand. If you're not watching the
Mm,
video version of this, Comfort with no extra O. Um, it is worth the money. I'm telling you.
yeah.
I
I have
it
almost purchased that like three
do it,
times in the last couple months. And I
do
just,
it,
I don't know.
do it. listen to me, do it.
Okay.
Because the moment I put it on my body, I was like, this is not fake advertising. Like, it is like, I don't want to wear. I almost wore the matching sweatpants to work today, but I was like, don't push it, Christy. Don't push it.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is a size small. And I'm like, should I have really
It's
gone with the
huge.
extra small? So think about that when you're making your size choice.
Okay.
Generally, I'm
Yeah,
a medium. This is a
me
small.
too, but I think
Okay.
I'd go small.
And
Wow.
yeah, so I hope the comfort people are watching this and they want to give me a little sponsorship.
Those are
So
weighted. I don't know if people know, like those are weighted.
yeah,
So it's like having a weighted blanket, but it's in the form of a sweatsuit.
it's
So
not
it's
as weighty
like
as I was hoping.
it's not as heavy, but yeah,
Not as weighty as I
it's
was
like a
hoping.
hug.
They also support mental health. So yeah. Um, I didn't mean to interrupt you to bring on all my sponsorship
No,
deals, but I,
it's
I'm gonna
okay.
be
I mean,
I'm gonna be Insta
if it
famous. It's gonna be
works,
through one of these. So yeah.
yeah. I mean,
I also
I'm
have to
happy
tell
for you
you
if it works.
really quickly, um, because we were just talking about, I don't remember why this popped into my brain, but yesterday, like on this topic of like trying to carry on when all this bad stuff's happening, and I was like having a relatively okay day yesterday, and I was tired, and so I thought, well, I should go home and rest now. Like, tip number one, like, get rest while you can. And so I was like, I'm gonna go home from work like while I can, but I was just like in a bad place mentally. And I got home, and every day there's been this baby groundhog in my yard, and I love watching this baby groundhog. And sometimes I would just sit in the window and like watch baby groundhog and watch him just scamper about my yard. And for days I've been like, I need to come up with a name for him. Well, I pulled in my driveway yesterday and he was dead in the road. And when I tell you that that pushed me over the edge, like shoved my body over the edge.
I'm so sorry. It's not funny. I don't know why I'm laughing.
Oh, it's
It's
not
terrible.
funny. It's not.
But it seems like, of course,
It was like when
of
I tell
course.
you I snapped. I called my sister sobbing my guts out, and she was just like, and then I had to keep being like, it's just a groundhog, it's just a groundhog, and she was like, it's okay, like she knows more than anyone like what I'm dealing with, and she's just
It
like,
was the
it's not
last
just a
straw.
groundhog.
Yeah.
It was my last straw. So that being said, all my straws are gone. They're all gone. So I think that's what's
Hmm.
giving me the freedom today to be like, since I'm out of
This is
straws,
why we needed,
that's
yeah.
that's why I feel so free and like emotionally dead to talk about this, because it's like all the straws are gone. So there's
Yes.
nothing we can
Yeah.
talk about that's going to hurt me anymore.
Hmm. So this is
Baby
perfect. This
groundhog's
was
dead.
perfect timing. I felt like we both needed this topic. So
Yeah,
let's get into some tips that have
let's get into
helped us in the past and that are helping us now to deal with the crap that's happening right now.
it.
I
Mhm.
think one of the most important things that you have to do at the outset is you can't run away from whatever it is that's happening in your personal life. You have to acknowledge what you're dealing with and validate those difficulties, because if you don't take a minute to clearly define to yourself what's going on, sit with it and really figure out what you need, then you can't really move forward. So you have to like assess and then address. So figure out what the problem is, figure out what you need while you're dealing with this, and then be clear and communicate it with um, your family, or we're talking about work situation, communicate with your boss or your supervisor, whoever you're directly working with, and let them know this is what I'm going through right now,
Yeah,
and this is what I need. And um, hopefully you're in a situation where they're going to work with you. I think I think overall that companies are getting a little bit better about treating mental health seriously in the workplace and acknowledging that their employees are whole people. They're not just acquired skills that they've absorbed into their company
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
they're taking advantage of. Well, not taking advantage of, but they're not just accessing skills and handing over a paycheck. Like, these are whole people.
Right.
And so there has to be some acknowledgement of what is happening in their personal life, because it's going to affect their work performance.
Mhm.
It's going to affect that work life that they've established in your company. So you can't ignore it. I mean, you can, you can in some places
I'll
do,
tell you something.
but
Bill can't ignore it.
no,
He's not been able to. We've not let him.
no. But I think we have an exceptional boss in Bill, in that I remember when my mom, a year ago, when my mom passed away, and um, I was helping with her care at the end of her life, and I was just blown out mentally. My daughter is autistic, and helping her to process what was happening, um, while I was dealing with it myself. Like, I was tapped out in every possible way,
Yeah.
and I was just like, he was nothing but supportive. Like, he
Yeah.
was like, you know what? Take the time that you need. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it. We will handle things here so you can take care of your family. And there was absolutely no pressure to, oh, but can you wrap this project before you go? Oh,
Yeah.
can you take care of this? Or even just like delegating things or assigning things. Like, he was like, don't worry about it. Full stop. Take care of your family. We'll take care of
Mhm.
this. And I think that is so important. There has to be, that can go a long way in helping employees to get back to where they are productive again, is if they're given that time to process what they're dealing with, and to
Yeah.
kind of clear the air, clear the space,
So I would say
so that
asking for it, if you're not being offered it, is probably
right,
smart.
right, yeah. If you're not, and that's where you have to know what you need. Do I need to have a reduced schedule? Like, maybe you're not dealing with loss, but maybe it is like a mental health issue, or um,
Sickness.
a chronic illness. Yeah. And you're just not doing well, and you have like tons of appointments. And do you just need to step back a little bit? Or do you need to do like a full stop for a few days? Or
Even
uh,
odd day. Even odd day.
even just one day? Like, this is a critical day for me. I need to just full stop. Like, communicate it and ask for it and advocate for yourself.
Mhm.
And I think that has to be like the first step, because they're not going to know there's a problem if you hide it until it
Yeah.
comes out in your work, until it starts affecting your work. And then they're going to be like, hey, what's up? Hey, how come you didn't tell me that this was going on? Like, we could
Yeah.
have like prevented this. So nip it in the
And
bud and ask for help.
I'm thinking that maybe not everyone wants to be as open about what's going on and what
Mm-hmm.
they're dealing with, and that's okay. Um, but I think that there's a benefit to some extent with at least talking about that you're dealing with something. If you're not the
Right.
kind of person that's like that isn't very hard on your sleeve, that isn't very comfortable with telling people around you what you're dealing with, then that's okay. But to find words in some way to say, you know, this is why I'm not I'm not up to where I normally am work wise, or something's going on. It's really
Yes.
difficult. Maybe I don't feel like talking about exactly what it is, but I'm dealing with something difficult. And, you know, maybe I might need to leave a little early. Maybe I need to
Mm-hmm.
come in a little late so I can sleep in a few days, or take this day, whatever it is.
Right.
So, because everybody's different, you and I feel pretty open to talk about stuff that we're dealing with, but not everybody is. Not everybody is.
Right.
So whatever
And
scale
if
you're
it,
on spectrum.
right. And if there is something that something going on in your personal life where you don't need to take, like maybe it's not an instance where you need to take time away from work. It's just figuring out how to keep going with your work while you deal with that. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I found that helps me a lot is to have strategies for managing your time
Mhm.
when you feel like you're overwhelmed by your personal life. So, like working intuitively and taking breaks when you need to. Maybe you can't just sit down and bang out a 500 word blog like in an hour like you used to at this time. Okay. So just put something on the page, sit down, put something, a
Yeah.
sentence, then get up and walk away. Like,
Or
or if you're
time.
creating, yeah, or if you're creating a video, look up stock footage for 15 minutes, then walk away. Like,
Right.
sometimes just breaking into it and getting that first piece outside of yourself
Yeah.
and on paper or on, in a document, then you can get yourself unstuck and it can just
Yeah.
start letting things. I think it's really important. Just start. That helped me a lot because I remember coming back to work and even now we've been dealing with some health problems the last few weeks, and there were a few days where I just could not work,
Mhm.
and I haven't been able to come to the office, and I've had to be remote, and I've just been like, I really need to work on this project, but I can't. I don't even know where to start because it's big and it's overwhelming, and I just didn't know where to start. But doing that, like, just even if it was just one word, like, here's a couple words, it's out, it's started, then you have something to go back to, and it feels like a continuation, not a
Yeah.
full start.
Right.
So it just mentally helps you think that it's not as big of a thing. You've
Yeah.
already started it. It's now we're just continuing it. So the
Yeah.
big part's done. The hard part's done. I really like I really like this phrase. It's called task decomposition. And I feel like decomposition, like that's a perfect way to describe it. And it's easy to remember because when you feel like that's what's happening inside of you,
Yeah.
like I'm in decomp mode right now. Like I
Hi.
am just
My
falling
soul is in
apart.
decomposition.
So do that with your task. Like apply
Yeah.
that to your task. It's task decomposition. So you take that big project and you just break it down into pieces until you get to a piece that you feel like, okay, I can handle that piece today. That's a good size. So then you
Yeah.
take that and you do it, throw yourself a little party for doing it, and then you move on to the next piece until you've got that task completed. So that really helps. That's one of the biggest tricks that have helped me in the past. I think too, I think a lot of creative people, you think about like your favorite artists or writer, a lot of times they write their best stuff or they produce their best work from times when things were not going well in their life.
That's a
And
good point.
I think across the board, like a lot of creative people find that to be true. Um, I know with me, like I write my best stuff when my life is a mess and and things are awful. Like I can't write when I'm happy. It's I can't write about
Even
happy things. you
even
know,
marketing, so like I
even
like are you
even marketing, it's like it's still the same idea. Like the words come faster and
mm,
more intensely when it's backed by this tremendous feeling. Like
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I think of I think like a really good example is like the artist Frida Kahlo. Kahlo. I don't know. I always feel like I say her name wrong, but
I know who you're talking
she's a
about.
favorite in our house. We love her. My daughter loves her. But like she had catastrophic health problems. She dealt with polio. She had miscarriages. She lived with chronic pain, but she used her art to just transcend any suffering and loss that she dealt with. And I think
Mhm.
it's such a good example that creative people, we have a powerful tool within ourselves to transform pain into something beautiful and something is just exceptional. And I think
Yeah,
it's
I
true whether
found
you're a
that.
painter or a copywriter or a media producer, like it doesn't matter what creative role you have. I feel like that's true across the board.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's a healing for me in
Mm,
video creation. Um, when I'm droning, I'm kind of like in a certain zone
mm,
mentally. Um, so there's certain tasks of like what I do creatively that like are really good for my mental health and like kind of
mm,
take me out of it. Um,
mhm,
but I don't feel like all creative tasks I do I feel like that way necessarily. I don't
no,
like not that I
no.
do a lot of writing, not that I do a lot
Mhm,
of writing, but anytime I do have to do any sort of writing, I'm like, when I'm in a bad spot mentally, I'm just like, I can't think. I'm like,
mhm.
so writing is just not going to happen for me. Or like I was saying, and earlier, just like when it comes to like, okay, I need to, now that I've been doing this podcast is about 3 months old now. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Um, and so now that I'm deeper and deeper into it, I'm like, okay, like I was at the beginning of this week, I was just like, I have to come up with ideas and content and like I have to it's the creative strategy that's not coming to me when I'm in
But it,
not in a
yeah.
good place mentally.
But I
And
feel
that's what
like
doesn't
you, right. And I think that you approached it though, like what happened this week is a really good example of using what you're dealing with to create content.
yeah. Yeah.
Like what you do is you stop and you know, assessed how this is what I'm dealing with. Can
Mm,
I create content that's happy and fun and light and silly right now? No.
no.
But that doesn't mean you can't create anything. So
Right.
you still found, you know what I can really talk about right now? You know what kind of content I can create right now? Something very real and honest and relatable. And it's
Mm,
valuable and
right.
it's a beautiful thing. So that right there, like, is a perfect example of how you can still create content when you're dealing with things. Like find an angle that might help you tap into what is going on and what's the very real things that are helping you deal with it that would be valuable to others. So you found a way to create content
Mhm. Yeah.
despite.
Well, I would like to give a lot of credit to Deb because she really helped me work it out. So I guess that's kind of skipping ahead to the point on collaboration. Like she was able
Yeah.
to really help me work through my own brain and kind of be like, what about this? What about that? What about exactly what we're talking about right now about how it's
Yes.
impossible, feels impossible to make content and do this when you are like this. Like we were
Right.
joking. I'm like, let's just turn on the camera and everyone can watch me cry.
We can just
Podcast
all cry
done.
together.
We want to talk about being authentic? Let's watch Christy cry this week.
That's what I've looked like all week. This is the real
Uh-huh.
me.
Uh-huh.
No, but that's an important point. Like using um, your connections, like
Yeah.
to kind of get outside of your head for a little bit. I think that's very important too, because um, loss and chronic illness, and whenever we deal with anything that's super heavy, like it's a very self isolating situation. Like
Yeah.
we're in our own head. Like it's hard
Mm,
not to be because
mhm.
nobody else is feeling it the way we're feeling it.
Yeah.
And we're not necessarily going to discuss how we feel with everyone we work with.
That's so how I am. Like I have to talk. have to talk everything out. Like
Yeah, I do
so,
that
and
too.
like, especially creatively, like I just don't,
Yeah.
none of it's staying in here. Yeah. That's icky and toxic. But like
Yeah.
creatively, especially, I'm like, when it's all jumbled up in my brain, I've got to message somebody. I've got to chat with Bill. I've got to chat with Tim. I have to like, let's jam it out until it makes
Mhm.
sense to me. Like, does this seem like a good idea? What if I did this? Even if they don't give me any feedback that's I can use, me just
Mhm.
like bouncing it off of somebody helps me kind of pull myself out of that, like, I'm brain dead rut. I'm still
Yeah.
stuck in cancer brain place, to be
Right.
like, okay,
Exactly.
I'm drawing myself back into work mode. What
Right.
am I doing today? This
Hmm.
is what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
like, even just spending time on Google Chat with a couple people,
Yeah.
like, helps me kind of get into work mode.
Yeah. The one thing that's really important that anybody can do, regardless if they can't connect with a person or get it outside of themselves, like what they're stuck with, trying to either write out what the problem is in some way, get it outside of yourself and put it down somewhere else.
Mhm.
Because whether you can do that by conveying it to another person who's willing to listen and to be there to help you, or if it's a blank piece of paper that's just waiting to absorb all the words, just get it outside of yourself and put it down somewhere so you can just take it from you and put it somewhere else. Because
Brain
sometimes
dumping.
just that act of taking it and placing it somewhere else outside of
Yeah.
yourself frees up that space and gives you just a little bit of extra space and breathing room to really either rest from it and not have it on your brain constantly. So it kind of can break the cycle that way, or it just gives you that space to process it and kind of shift your perspective a little bit. Get it
Yeah.
outside of yourself in some way. And if you have a support system at work, leverage that, use it. Um,
Yep.
Hopefully, you've got a work buddy, at least one, that
At
you
least
can.
we'll be your work buddy.
Yeah, just yeah.
Find us
We are
on
definitely,
Instagram.
yeah. DM us.
We like friends.
Yeah,
How many times have we in this
but
podcast been like, DM us, make sure you DM us.
I know this time
Yeah,
for
friends.
real. Like if you don't have a work buddy and we're good
Yeah,
work buddies.
we are.
But yeah, if you can try to shift your perspective, I can't possibly do this while I'm dealing with this, to my work is something that can help me deal with this. Like
Yeah.
every type of pain needs an outlet. Every type of heavy situation or life altering thing that happens to us, we need an outlet for it. And if you are in a creative job, it can be that outlet. I'm not saying it can all the time. Sometimes you do need to stop and step away and come back. There are many times when it can be that outlet if we shift our perspective.
I feel like that's
See
true
it
for
as that.
speaking to creative types only. I'm picturing
Mm-hmm.
I'm picturing someone from analytics listening to this going, guys,
Yeah.
you're so on my level, trying
This
to
isn't,
deal with what I'm dealing with, going to do
yeah.
reporting. I'm
Well, I
like, I
mean,
hear you. That person's
right.
thinking that. I hear you. I do.
Yeah. No, I think it's true. Like this episode is really for creative people. It's not
Mhm.
for the strategists and analytics people.
I
It
would
really
like it.
isn't.
I would like those people to be able to have some takeaways. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, some of the things that you can do, I think some tips that are really good, if no matter what, if it is creative or if it's analytics or strategy or something, automate what you can while you're
yeah.
when you're in a moment or in a situation where everything is just falling apart, everything's on fire. Automate those repetitive tasks that you have. delegate what you can
Yeah.
to other members of your team if it's possible, just to lighten your workload and to give yourself a little breathing room if you can, and save what energy you do have for the unique content that
Yeah.
has to come from you
Yeah.
specifically, because it's that's where your energy should go. Like the
Yeah.
stuff that probably someone else could handle, delegate it. Or if you can use AI to, or automated, you know, if you can automate any of those tasks, like do it. Just do
Yeah.
it.
And I
And
recognize that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I do recognize that most of what we're talking about and many of these tips do pertain primarily to the creative field, but I also did want to validate anybody who is listening
Yeah.
who's not in
Yeah.
the creative field and can still relate to what we're talking about in any job, even if someone's listening and isn't in marketing and is, I don't know, a contractor, whatever, and it's like I get it. I have to go to work every day and I'm dealing with like my life's on
Yeah.
fire. That they can still, take some key points away from this and we're just not like, don't worry guys, you can
Hmm.
find joy in whatever you do. Like, we get it. Like, we're
Yeah.
not patronizing you. We're just,
Right.
here are some things that we have found in the flames of our life that you that, that
From
you
two
might be,
people.
we're
Right.
still like, can you see the ashes and the smoke on us still? Like,
Yeah.
you can take away. You know what I'm saying? That's all I meant by that.
Life tips from two people currently on fire.
Correct.
Um, but yeah, I feel like everybody can be realistic about what they're able to accomplish while they're going through a
Mhm.
challenging time, no matter what your job title is, in marketing or in another field. Don't overcommit yourself. Don't, it, you want to fix, the problems. I struggle with that. Like I want to, especially when you know that you can do something, when you know that this is something you're really good at, this is something maybe you always have done for the company, and you have to kind of take a step back, um, just so you can regroup and take care of yourself for a little bit. It's hard to switch that off and not be like, hey, this is what I do, and not overcommit yourself and then just make the whole situation worse because you're trying to draw from a well that's empty and you're like, oh no, I can do it. No, I can do
Yeah.
it. So be a little bit humble and realistic about what you're dealing with and how much you can commit to. And then whenever you do complete a task, it doesn't matter how small, like congratulate yourself. This was big for me today. Like I'm up and not
Yeah.
crying today. Yay.
Yeah.
I got that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that proposal finished. Yay. I figured out the images for that slide deck. Awesome. Like
Mhm.
be any little win is a big win.
Yeah.
And any
It'll
progress is a
fuel you
success.
into tomorrow.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I think those are all good things, especially for creative people, but also, people who might be not having to create content.
So
Um,
highlight those main points again. What were the main points?
so I would say acknowledge your struggle, be
Yep.
very honest and upfront with yourself and with your boss or your supervisor or your team, all three of them. Um, Task decomposition.
Hmm.
Don't forget to decomp. So break things down, break your tasks down. Try to, especially for creative people, see what you're feeling, um, and the bad and the pain and the awful can be a huge well of creative fuel. Try to shift your perspective from this is something I have to do, like my work is something I have to do while I'm dealing with this, to, this is something that could help me deal with this. Delegate when you can, save your energy for the things that absolutely need your attention. Leverage any support systems that you have if you have a work buddy. I feel like I've talked a lot. I'm sorry. I'm just very passionate about this. And I feel like it's such a
You've
big,
hit a lot of points.
it's such a big thing. Like, I feel like more of us, more and more people are dealing with this right now in their workplace
Yeah.
because,
Well,
so much is like exploding in the world. It's affecting everybody.
everyone will deal with it at some point in some
Right.
fashion. And so it feels
Right.
like a worthwhile topic. Um, and, whether you are now or you have before or you will later, it feels like something that when we were discussing whether or not we should talk about it, it felt like it was something authentic that we could be real about.
Right.
It's not necessarily a comfy topic, but when we were talking about what do we do next, what do we do next, because like I said, I'm at a point where not every day am I prepared to just jump on not just a podcast but social media or just even into the office and be my normal self. I can't be my normal self right now, not every day. And so I feel like there's a realness in talking about that because it's not just me. Um, and it's not just you. And there's other people even in this office who are dealing with that. And it's a universal experience because everyone has death in the family and everyone has sickness and everyone's dealing with something, whether it's on a small or a grand scale. And it's just the reality of it is that, like we said in the beginning, is like world keeps on spinning and you got to show up and you have to just, the show goes on.
Yeah.
And it's just like you have to figure out how to do it, and we're just doing it anyway. And it's tough, but it's like it's hard to just mask on mask off kind of thing, and yet that's what we're doing. And so I just was like, you know what, let's just have a real conversation about it. Like,
Mm.
I'm not afraid to.
Yeah. I'm really glad we talked about it because I think, like you said, a lot of people deal with it or will deal with it. And it's just, these are things like it's easy for us to talk about it right now because we're right in the middle of it. And so it's very close to us. Like, so we can be really passionate about what has worked, what has helped. Like these are things that have really helped. Real
Yeah.
world experience has helped 100% and helped us get not through just one crisis, but several, and still like produced amazing content and have kept our clients happy. And we've hit our deadlines and we've created things that were like, we didn't think was possible.
Yeah.
Like today's podcast.
It just
We
puts
were
it on the
like,
schedule. That's what it is. I'm like,
yeah,
it keeps moving. It's got to keep moving. And I've got to come up with something for Tuesday. Keep on coming up with
right.
something for Tuesday. Like,
Yeah.
time is not stopping. And so we're just like, what are we posting about? I've got to
Yeah.
figure it out. I've got to
So
figure out some content. And here we are. So you're welcome. I hope
we're
this is helpful.
all, yeah.
I hope it's helpful to someone. And I really would love feedback on this one. I got an update yesterday that Spotify now has a place for comments, like different than there's always been a box. It's like, what did you think of this episode? But it's like now people can comment specifically. And I'm not really seeing where. Sometimes Spotify's funny and it takes like a day or whatever for an update to apply. So supposedly there's supposed to be a way on our Spotify for you guys to be able to comment directly, like basically to be able to DM us directly. I don't know. They're updating stuff all the time. If you have not yet seen, our videos are available on Spotify now as you stream it, and that's been really cool. So yeah,
I would
please.
love to hear. Yeah. I'd love to hear from people too. Like what's worked for them? Do they have any tips or tricks that we haven't talked about or touched on that has helped them to keep their creativity going in their job while they've been dealing with heavy stuff? Like, share what's worked for you. We'd love to start a conversation about that.
Share a personal story with me. Like, I
Hmm.
don't know, whatever you want. Like, you've been dealing with someone in your family sick or your own sickness, and you've had to just keep on. If this is relatable to you and you feel comfortable, like, let's jam it out. Like, I love connecting on that way. So,
We're all in it together.
mm-hmm. Well,
We're
I'm really
doing it.
thankful. Yeah, I'm thankful that you were able to do this today because I know you're not feeling good, and we figured out a time and a way to do this. And so
we figured it out. Yeah, I'm really happy, and I'm happy that we talked about this because I just think it was great timing, and I think it was good for both of us to kind of remind ourselves of the things that are helping, and
it's therapy
hopefully
for
it
our
will help someone else. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it really
free
is.
therapy. You're welcome. And again, get this sweatsuit if you need a present for
I'm
yourself.
so gonna go buy that now that I know
I'm
that it's
telling
as good
you,
as it's hyped up.
I am the worst person to not like how much money have you spent on Temu because of me?
Oh my god! So this hat, this necklace, these rings.
I'm a bad influence when it
I'm
comes to
not a fan of fast fashion either. Like, I'm morally opposed to it, but clearly
yeah,
not as much as I thought I was because when there have been days when I couldn't put sentences together, I would sit there and just scroll through and be like, that's pretty. I like that. And I've been getting packages every week for the last month.
if you use all of it,
I do.
you're not
Like, there's only been a
you're
couple
not
things
dumping
that
it in landfills.
no, totally not. Like, I'm very selective in what I'm
Yep,
getting, and I'm actually using and wearing everything.
that's yep. So,
So
and of all vices to
I don't know.
have,
It can't really justify it though. It's terrible.
oh, I'm justifying it because of all vices to have, this is a vice that is safe for you, and
That is true.
you're not hurting, your body in the process. I was gonna say the environment, but it might be hurting the environment.
Yeah, please don't come at us for this. We're dealing with a lot. Just let us
No,
have
we're
it.
dealing with a lot. Leave us alone. Let us spend our
just
money.
just let us do this and just just look away.
These nails, these nails are from Temu.
Oh, I wanted to tell you that I just ordered like 5 sets of fake nails.
I need a new set, so
I
I
almost
should
got
really
like
go
a
sell
really
mine. See, this is your influence. I've got the black set on instead of something fun and summery.
I
That's because I
almost
miss you.
bought okay, it's in my cart right now, like these really long, obnoxious pink coffin nails. And I'm like, they're like Barbie pink. And I'm like,
Yes.
I so have to get those. And
Yes.
we got to do like a TikTok or something when I finally can get back in the office
Yes.
someday. I'm hoping it's
Yes.
soon because I miss you.
I miss you too.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
everybody, we're gonna stop
yeah.
yammering. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, comment, review, share, all the things, and come back next time.
And sending out hugs to all of those that need it. We're with you. It's not easy, but you can do it.
It's the end.
No, it's not. There's more.
There's always more.
Don't be sad. You can catch our full video interviews on our YouTube channel. Come find us.
And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends so that we're not sad.
And follow us on TikTok.
And Instagram.
It'll make your day happier, promise.
And we'll know if you do. Until next time.